My apartment greeted me with its usual silence, broken only by the soft click of the door. On the small entryway shelf, my father's photograph held its perpetual vigil, his warm smile a stark contrast to the hollow ache in my chest. 5 years, and the grief still had the weight of a physical thing. "I'm home, Papa," I whispered to the image, a ritual as ingrained as washing my hands. His gentle eyes in the frame were the only reply. I'd put my life on hold to be his nurse until the end. My medical training was useful, but it was no armor against the heartbreak of watching a hero fade. I had no regrets. His last lesson to me was a gentle chiding. "Mary, you always put yourself last. You need to value your own life more." He saw me clearly, perhaps too clearly. A microwave hummed, heating yesterday's leftovers, a solo dinner for one. As I sat, I remembered the missed call from my mother. Again, since Dad's death, her affection had curdled into a constant, critical vinegar, reserved almost exclusively for me. Her favoritism for my sister, Caitlin, once a subtle undercurrent, was now a torrent. "Mary, why do you wear such cheap clothes? Surely a nurse's salary could afford something better. You're really becoming like your father, stubborn and self-centered. Learn from Caitlin. At least she's thinking about her future." Her words were needles, each one designed to find a seam in my armor. I was used to the sting. I told myself it didn't matter. The mail on the table offered no solace. Bills, flyers, nothing from Caitlin. Her communication had dwindled to nothing over the last few months. It was a silence I'd willingly bought, pouring my savings and a portion of Dad's insurance into her law school tuition. I didn't regret it. Her success was my solace. I'd heard about her engagement to Ryan Johnson not from her, but through Mother's triumphant phone call. "Caitlin is engaged. A promising young lawyer. The first success story in our family." The unspoken modifier hung in the air, "Not you." The wedding was next month. The invitation never came. I'd made excuses, mail delays, the chaos of planning. Last week, I'd finally called Mother. "Mary, she's busy. Wedding preparations are demanding. You know." Her tone had been dismissive, final. I scrolled to my last text from Caitlin. 3 months old. "Thank you, Mary. I was really happy. Ryan also liked your present. Let's meet soon." Soon had become a ghost. The Chicago winter had settled over the city, draping the skyline in a silent, forgiving white. From the hospital windows, the view was a study in contrasts, the stark, modern lines softened by a blanket of snow. It was the one time of year the world outside seemed to match the quiet kindness I tried to cultivate inside. After a 12-hour shift, that kindness felt like a distant country. The one bright spot was an unexpected one, Barbara Johnson, Ryan's mother, a former nurse herself. We'd met by chance and forged a quick bond over tea and shared history. "Mary, you're truly a thoughtful person," she'd told me once. "Caitlin always says she's proud of you." The comment had surprised me, a small, warm ember in the chill. But as the wedding day dawned, that ember felt cold. The invitation had never materialized, yet I dressed with meticulous care in a pastel blue dress, Dad's favorite color. I fastened pearl earrings he'd given me, my hands steady though my heart was not. On the bed lay my gift, a handmade blanket, white with blue flowers, a replica of the one Dad had given Mom at their engagement. A tribute to a happy story I desperately wanted to believe in. The luxury hotel downtown was a world away from my modest apartment. A staff member met me at the entrance to the grand hall with a polished smile. "Name, please?" "Mary Wilson." Her finger traced down the guest list once, then again. Her smile tightened into a polite mask of confusion. "I'm sorry, but your name isn't here. Could you check again? I'm the bride's sister." A quiet consultation with a colleague, a shake of a head. "I'm very sorry, Miss Wilson, it's not here." The air left my lungs. "Is my mother, Eleanor Wilson, inside?" "Yes, she is." Permission granted. I stepped into the opulent venue, the gift box feeling like a lead weight in my hands. I found her easily, holding court with a champagne flute, her laughter a sharp, tinkling sound. When her eyes met mine, the laughter died. She excused herself and swept over, her gaze raking over my dress. "They said my name isn't on the list," I said, my voice barely a whisper. She offered a cold, Social smile. There's no mistake. Her voice was low, venomous. Did you honestly think you were invited? The words landed like a physical blow. Doesn't Caitlin want me here? Caitlin is beginning a happy life. She doesn't need a reminder of her failures standing in the back of the room. I flinched. Then I saw Barbara Johnson moving toward us, her face a mirror of concern. She'd heard. I took a sharp breath, locking my knees to keep steady. The tears would not fall here, not in front of her. I see, I said, my voice miraculously steady. Then I'll live my life as an outsider, too. I placed the gift on a nearby table. Give this to Caitlin, if it's not too much of a burden. As I turned, Barbara caught my arm. Mary, wait. Caitlin said she wanted you here. She was just talking about you. Barbara, this is a family matter. Please don't interfere. Eleanor snapped. It's all right, I said, cutting her off. I gave Barbara's hand a gentle squeeze. Thank you. Then I walked out, leaving the gilded room behind. Outside, the sun was shining. I hailed a cab, slid into the back seat, and said the only words I could manage. I want to go home. The driver, bless him, asked no questions. Back inside, the ceremony was beginning. As the processional music swelled, Eleanor's phone buzzed insistently. Irritated, she slipped out to answer. It was Caitlin, her voice tight with pre-ceremony panic. Where's Mary? I wanted to see her before I walked down the aisle. Eleanor's lie was smooth, hollow. She didn't come. But Barbara says she saw her. She was just there. Eleanor turned to see Barbara, no longer gentle, speaking in urgent, heated tones to a now ashen-faced Caitlin. When Eleanor returned, the ceremony was in motion. Caitlin was a vision in white, but her walk was hesitant, her eyes scanning the crowd frantically. She reached the altar and instead of facing Ryan, she turned to the guests. Where's Mary? The question cut through the holy silence. My sister isn't here. The priest faltered. Ryan looked bewildered, reaching for her. Kate, what's wrong? Barbara stood. Her voice was clear and carried a devastating truth. Caitlin, Mary was here. She was told her name wasn't on the list and was turned away. The color drained from Caitlin's face. She stared at her mother, her voice trembling with a dawning, horrifying realization. Mom, what did you do? Eleanor shriveled under the gaze of hundreds. I was protecting you. She would have tried to steal your spotlight. She always does. That's not true. Caitlin's cry echoed in the hall. She's never been anything but my support. My law school, my interview suit, everything. Her composure shattered. And this dress, I wanted her here for this. Ryan held her tight as she wept. The perfect day in ruins. Barbara's husband, Robert, a pillar of the community, stood, his expression grim. We believed we were joining our families today. I will not have my son marry into one that treats its own with such cruelty. In the crushing silence, Caitlin fumbled for her phone, dialing my number with trembling fingers. It rang and rang into the void of my quiet apartment, where I sat alone in the pale blue dress, the phone silenced on the table beside my father's picture. She's not answering, Caitlin whispered, the words a final verdict. Ryan held her close, his own dream crumbling around him. She's hurt. She needs time. Caitlin looked out at the sea of stunned, silent guests. Her wedding day irrevocably broken. The ceremony wasn't postponed with words. It was ended by a truth too ugly to ignore. The echoes of my absence louder than any vow they might have taken. The city below my hospital window was a watercolor of gray and white, the Chicago skyline softened by a fresh blanket of snow. It was the only view that ever made the world feel gentle. After a 12-hour shift, I clung to that feeling, carrying its fragile peace with me like a secret. My apartment was a sanctuary of silence. The first thing I always saw was the small shelf by the door, and the photograph of my father. 5 years had not dulled the sharp, physical ache in my chest at the sight of his smile. I'm home, Papa, I whispered, the ritual a tether to a time when I was truly seen. I'd been his nurse until the end. My medical knowledge was a clinical tool. The real work was done with a breaking heart. I have no regrets. His final gift to me was a truth I'm still learning to live by. Mary, you always put yourself last. You need to value your own life more. The microwave hummed, reheating a solitary dinner. As I sat, I remembered, another call from my mother. Unanswered. Since my father's death, her love had curdled into a constant, corrosive criticism aimed solely at me, while my sister, Caitlin, could do no wrong. Mary, why do you wear such cheap clothes? You're stubborn and self-centered, just like your father. Learn from Caitlin. She's thinking about her future. Her words were tiny, precise daggers. I had built up calluses against them, but they always found a soft spot. The mail offered no reprieve. Bills, ads, nothing from Caitlin. Her silence over the past months was a void. I had helped create the woman who now had no time for me, pouring my savings and a piece of my father's legacy into her law degree. I didn't regret it. Her success was my quiet victory. I'd learned of her engagement to Ryan Johnson not from her, but through my mother's gloating phone call. Caitlin is engaged. A promising young lawyer. The first success story in our family. The unspoken words hung in the air, heavy and familiar. Not you. The wedding was next month. The invitation never came. I'd crafted excuses, a postal error, the chaos of planning. Last week, I'd finally called my mother. Mary, she's busy. She'd dismissed me, her tone a door slamming shut. Wedding preparations are demanding, you know. My last text from Caitlin was a fossil, 3 months old. Thank you, Mary. I was really happy. Ryan also liked your present. Let's meet soon. Soon was a country I could no longer find on any map. The one unexpected grace was Barbara Johnson, Ryan's mother, a former nurse. We'd met by chance and forged a fast bond over tea. Mary, you're a truly thoughtful person, she'd told me once. Caitlin always says she's proud of you. The comment was a bomb, a tiny, glowing ember in the chill. But on the morning of the wedding, that ember felt cold. No invitation had ever arrived, yet I dressed with a kind of sacred care. The pastel blue dress was my father's favorite color. The pearl earrings were his keepsake. On the bed lay my gift, a handmade blanket, white with blue flowers, a replica of the one he'd given my mother, a tribute to a family myth I desperately needed to believe was true. The luxury hotel was a universe away from my life. A staff member met me with a polished, professional smile. Name, please? Mary Wilson. Her finger traced the list. Once, twice. Her smile tightened into a mask of polite confusion. I'm sorry, but your name isn't here. Could you check again? I'm the bride's sister. A hushed consultation. A subtle shake of a head. I'm very sorry, Miss Wilson. It's not here. The air in the lavish lobby grew thin. Is my mother, Eleanor Wilson, inside? Yes, she is. Permission granted. I carried my gift into the opulent hall like a shield. I found her holding court, a champagne flute in her hand, her laughter a sharp, glittering sound. It died the moment she saw me. She swept over, her eyes conducting a brutal inventory of my dress, my hair, my very presence. They said my name isn't on the list, I said, my voice small. Her smile was a cold, sharp thing. There's no mistake. The words were low, meant only for me, and laced with a venom I'd never quite heard before. Did you honestly think you were invited? It was the confirmation of a fear I'd refused to name. Doesn't Caitlin want me here? Caitlin is beginning a happy life. She doesn't need a reminder of her failures standing in the back of the room. The poison hit its mark, and then I saw Barbara Johnson moving toward us, her face a landscape of concern. She'd heard. I drew a sharp breath, locking my knees. I would not cry here, not for her. I see, I said, my voice finding a strength I didn't feel. Then I'll know my place. I laid the carefully wrapped gift on a nearby table. A surrender. Give this to Caitlin, if it's not too much trouble. As I turned, Barbara caught my arm. Mary, wait. Caitlin told me just last week how much she wanted you here. Barbara, this is a family matter. Don't interfere. My mother snapped, her voice a whip crack. It's all right, I said, my calm unnerving even me. I squeezed Barbara's hand, a silent thank you for trying, and walked away. Outside, the sun was a lie. I slid into a cab, the words a choked whisper. Just drive, please. Back inside, the ceremony was a beautiful lie about to unravel. As the processional music began, my mother's phone buzzed, an insistent, angry vibration against the strings. She answered outside the hall. her voice a practiced calm. "Caitlin, darling? Where's Mary? I need to see her before I walk." "She didn't come." My mother lied, the hollow sound echoing in the marble hallway. "But Barbara just texted me. She saw her. She was right there." My mother turned. Through the doors, she saw Barbara, her gentle demeanor gone, speaking urgently to a Caitlin whose bridal glow was rapidly draining away. When my mother returned, the ceremony was in motion. Caitlin was a vision, but her walk was a tremor of hesitation, her eyes desperately searching the crowd. She reached the altar and instead of facing Ryan, she turned, a single, desperate question tearing through the sanctified silence. "Where's Mary?" The music died. "My sister isn't here." The priest faltered. Ryan reached for her, confused. "Kate?" Barbara stood. Her voice, usually so warm, was clear and carried a devastating truth. "Caitlin, Mary was here. She was turned away at the door. Her name was scrubbed from the list." The color vanished from Caitlin's face. She stared at our mother, a horrifying understanding dawning. "Mom, what did you do?" My mother shrank under the weight of 100 stares. "I was protecting you. She would have tried to steal your spotlight. She always does." "Liar." The word was a sob. "She's never been anything but my support, my tuition, my interviews, everything." Her composure shattered. "This dress, I wanted her opinion. You told me she was too busy." Ryan held her as she wept. The perfect day in ruins. Robert Johnson stood, his expression that of a man who has discovered a rotten foundation beneath a beautiful house. "We believed we were joining our families today. I will not have my son marry into one that treats its own with such cruelty." In the crushing silence, Caitlin fumbled for her phone, dialing my number with trembling fingers. It rang and rang into the void of my silent apartment, where I sat alone in the pale blue dress, the phone face down on the table next to my father's picture. "She's not answering," Caitlin whispered, the words a final, damning verdict. Ryan held her, his own dream shattered. "She's hurt. She needs time." Caitlin looked out at the sea of stunned guests, her wedding day a beautiful, broken thing. The ceremony wasn't postponed with words. It was ended by the echoing, deafening sound of my absence.